Well, good morning and happy Friday. It is Friday, August 16th, which means we have reached the end of summer camp for the 2019 season. Yes, this is the last day. I figured, with it being the absolute last day of camp, I figure it would be nice to just do a little bonus episode. I'm actually not on the freeway right now. I'm actually somewhere on Hawthorne Boulevard on my way to the freeway, on my way to filming two of the last performances of the year. The first one being West LA, which is for the out-of-state people. It's pretty much where the 405, Interstate 405 and I-10 meet. That area there. So from the office, from the start of my drive, I was looking at about a 50 to 59 minute traveling time for about 20 miles. So I'm averaging about 20 miles my entire time, and I'm sitting on a freeway. So that's the agenda for that. Right after I finish that, I gotta haul it all the way to Pasadena, which from West LA is approximately It's about 30 to 35 miles from the West LA location, so I've got to haul it all the way up the 405 and across probably the 101 to the 134, and then blah, 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 blah. So about 30, yeah. So, it's going to be a long day, and also to make it even more fun, since it is the last day of camp for these locations, the final camp that I'm going to film, I've got to take all of their stuff home. So it's kind of glad that I'm in the good old trusty Toyota 4Runner that I've been in for all these years, and just kind of putzing along, going to make it there, doing the thing. Not really, well, I'd say a few things have happened since Monday. This week has been a little bit lighter than usual just because, since we're wrapping up and I don't have as many camps to visit. I didn't actually go work on Tuesday, but it was a little weird. I found myself realizing that I needed new tires on the Kawasaki. One of the caveats of owning two bikes is that when you have to replace the tires on two separate motorcycles, it's almost the equivalent of paying as much as one single car. The only difference is that your workload is split in half. So Tuesday was a matter of replacing tires on the Versys and replacing a clutch cable and doing all that. And it was an interesting time. I was trying to consolidate and have as much free time as I could. So after I got the tires all replaced and things like that, took a lift while all that was being done. Went to the Korean spa for a few hours and knocked out. I think that being at the Korean spa at that particular time really was a big sign of my absolute exhaustion. I got there, I was dipping in the hot tub for a little bit just to relax, and I said, okay, I'm hungry, I'm going to go upstairs and go to the restaurant. So I go to the restaurant, I go have my food, and then I decided to go relax in the co-ed common area on one of the mats, these kind of padded, not so padded mats that are on a hardwood floor. I was so tired that even with the distraction of two really obnoxious ladies next to me, I managed to pass out for about an hour and a half on a hardwood floor, face down. Yeah, that's when you're tired. When, you just want to sleep, you're in a comfortable place, you just decide to sleep and you just don't care anymore. And that is basically what happened. And I figure that, throughout these episodes that I randomly put online is that not too many people actually watch them. So I could just say a bunch of really off the cuff stuff, or talk about things that are extremely did you seriously just do that yesterday kind of thing? And I don't think anyone's even going to notice that I did. So this broadcast might be a little weird because I have some funny stories to tell about the last few days. But yes, Tuesday started out fun because I decided to make pancakes. And when I make pancakes for the family, I make pancakes for the entire family. So all the rats got pancakes. I went back to making pancakes just under the size of a $50. They're really cute. And everybody got one. So the babies and the hairless boys and the big girls, everybody got pancakes. All 11 of them got pancakes. And I think it's the first time they ever got pancakes. So they're a very happy bunch. And it was fun. No, they just got pancakes, no syrup, no nothing else, just the pancakes. Now, my little thing with rat-sized pancakes, it actually goes back to about 2012. I ended up gaining a bit of notoriety for a 4-panel image that I put up. This was when I was still living in Ohio, and I still had a few rats that I had adopted, and one of them was my little friend Cooper. And Cooper was a good boy. I miss him. He was a really good rat, and he really liked his food. And just for fun, I decided to take a few pictures of him eating pancakes. And I made these pancakes and, fed them to him. And then I posted it on Reddit for fun. And little did I know, it ended up blowing up and going viral. And to this day, there are some times on occasion that some rat websites, and of course without giving me any credit whatsoever, because back in 2012, people would just steal memes everywhere and do that. But yeah, there's the image of Cooper eating pancakes, and there's my hand giving him the pancakes, and I'm all like, could I at least get credit for being a hand model or something like that? That'd be nice. But no. But yeah, that I do have a claim to fame as having probably one of the most famous rats that's not named Marty Mouse grace the pages of Facebook and other memes and other websites because of an experiment with tiny pancakes. And of course Cooper was the first, but he was definitely not the last rat that I owned that ended up getting a treat of little rat-sized pancakes. So that's the story of that, and I enjoyed at least using part of my day just to make pancakes for them. So that was quite nice. But yeah, that Tuesday was a lot of motorcycle maintenance, a lot of me maintenance, and just trying to just recuperate. I don't realize how tiring this position that I've been in for the last 6 summers. I don't realize how tiring it is. And also because this is only the second year in a row that I've actually been doing this job in its full-blown capacity. And this is actually the first year that I've done it without any interruptions related to school or any other jobs that I was related to. Last year was a bit of a doozy because I still... whatever. So there's a Gixxer in front of me. It's a Gixxer 1000. I'm not impressed, dude. Why are you revving like that? I say this as a fellow motorcyclist. You have nothing to prove except that whether or not you'll cream yourself when you get across the intersection. You do realize that we're on the intersection of Artesia and Hawthorne. You know how many accidents I've seen at this intersection, happen in front of me? Like the last major accident that happened here on the corner of Artesia and Hawthorne. And just for your amusement, this is the intersection I'm talking about. Yeah, that's Artesia Hawthorne. I have actually seen a SUV run a red light, hit an ambulance, and then flip over. I mean, I guess you can call that, convenient. I guess you can call that convenient because, if you get hit, they can automatically transport you. I don't know what that was. Yeah, Gixxer 1000, you are not proving anything. I am still behind you. Wait. Anyway, sometimes people need to rev their engines to compensate. I don't understand that. There's no reason. But then again, it is a Gixxer and those things break all the time. I would go into some brand bashing right now, but I know that there are some people that don't appreciate that, so I'm not going to. But Gixxers are not some of my favorite models of motorcycles. I've ridden them. They're fast, but when you ride them, you feel like the whole thing's going to fall apart, between your legs, and it's kind of scary. That's just my experience riding a Gixxer. I'm not a fan of the bike at all. It's not. It's really a bike that you buy because everyone else told you to. I mean, I know that in the hands of a good rider, any bike is an amazing bike. But for me, I'm just not into those things. If I had to choose in regards to a sport bike, my personal go-to would be a Triumph Daytona 675, which is not a bike that a lot of people would actually, consider as their first choice. But there's something to be said about the Daytona 675. I'm a big fan of it. Triple 675 engine. It has a very comfortable sport bike stance on it. I find that the Gixxer, you have to be like 5'1" or shorter to appreciate it because you're really, smashed into it. That's my little thing about it. My second favorite 600, I would say, would be the Kawasaki Ninja. Considering that I'm a little biased because I have owned 2 Kawasaki's in my life, both of them upright standards, the Ninja, and I'm talking the ZX6R and the 636. Those are like 2 personal favorites of mine if I had to go to the proverbial crotch rockets. So now I've finally gotten onto the 405. I probably have about another, 35, 40 minutes here of driving. And that was my little tangent on Gixxers because one decided to try to mark its territory in front of me and I wasn't impressed. But then again, there's a lot of people who ride motorcycles to try to impress people by trying too hard and they don't impress me at all. So that's just kind of where it is. Korean Spa was great. I mean, I didn't realize that you can go there and spend 4.5 hours there and not realize that you did. But yeah, once I got out of the Korean Spa on Tuesday, back to the shop, got my bike, realized that whichever technician, it wasn't my normal mechanic who worked on the bike because he didn't happen to be there today because he had to go take care of something, didn't do one thing I requested the tech to do, and it was to install the tire preventative treatment that I normally put in my tires. Now, I've been using Ride-On tire sealant for the last, since 2012 at least. 2011, 2012 I've been using, if not earlier than that. No, much earlier than that. I think I've been using Ride-On tire sealant since about 2008, 2009. And the reason why I started using this stuff, and if you have any questions about it, you can feel free to ask me, but Ride-On tire sealant is a preventative. You put it in the tires when they're brand new. Now what it does is with centripetal force, and it's a water-based chemical, so it doesn't have any fumes or anything weird like that, it coats the middle meaty portion of the tire, which is where most punctures occur when you're riding. If you get it in the sidewall or you get it on the side of the tire, you're kind of hosed, but it does take care of about, I'd say, 75 to 80% of the area that a nail is most likely to hit. And the reason why I ended up putting this stuff in my tires was because after a really unfortunate incident in Pocatello, Idaho, during my first long-distance motorcycle tour where I got a flat on my bike in American Falls and had to be towed back to Pocatello, which just happened to have like one tire that could fit my bike at the time. I didn't want to get stranded like that again, and with the amount of miles that I was putting on my bikes, or my bike at the time, just my ride, I needed to do something about that. So Ride-On ended up happening. It became a staple, and it still is a staple in every motorcycle that I own. And even the Versys, even though it is getting a lot more work nowadays because of the rentals I've been doing, and that's the reason why I had to get new tires, is that the last couple, who got my tires, the last couple who rented my bike put 900 miles on my tires and completely wore them out, so I had to go and drop that kind of dough on it, which I'm not happy about, but I kind of need new tires. It's just important to keep both of my bikes in tip-top shape because I don't have a choice. I don't have a car. This is kind of a problem. Well, it's not really a problem. I think I just consider it more as a strange circumstance that only in being in Los Angeles you can totally get away with. I don't think I'd be able to survive anywhere else in the United States if I was down to 2 motorcycles. But here in LA, nobody bats an eye. I have access to other vehicles if I needed to, and it's kind of nice. So that's kind of where it is. So we'll see how long it's going to take me to get to West LA. I'm just kind of like putzing along here, surprisingly at about 52 miles an hour, which never happens this time of the morning. But I would figure that, we're all tired, we're all wired, we want to get this done. Wednesday was another day at camp. It was my last day visiting 3 of the 5 locations that are running this one single week. And made my said my goodbyes. You can find me on the interwebs, that whole bit. That was a bit fun. I was a bit bummed because when I got to American Martyrs, I was thinking, oh, let me put some ice in my Yeti bottle so that I can take it with me wherever I go. And it turns out that it just happened to be the day that the ice machine wasn't working. I has a sad. So I didn't get any ice in my bottle, but I did get to say goodbye to everyone, and that was nice. You know, I mean, we do sort of keep in touch during the regular year, but that's what Facebook is for, and I figure this is the last episode, no holds barred kind of thing. So, yeah, you know, I got back around, 2:45-ish from my final stop, and I ended up passing out at my desk until about 3:30. I've kind of gotten to a point where when I get back to my office, I actually pass out because I'm so tired from having to drive and all that time. And I just like, whatever. And it's not like there's much going on. I'm clocked out. You can't bother me. I'm sleeping. So that's what happened to that. I think it also helps, too, that, my job prospects are still looking kind of bleak right now for the next couple weeks. I was able to secure for next week because there's no work really that I have, like the full-time work I have at the camp. I might have to go back in and do some equipment maintenance and setup, which is not a problem, but it's probably only going to be a few hours for one day. But I managed to secure 2 substitute teaching jobs, one on Monday and one on Friday, and they're both in South Central LA. So that's going to be lovely. I'm already kind of dreading it, but they're waving a bunch of money in my face, and I really can't say no to that. So I had this thought, if I was going to start a podcast or some sort of group, and if you steal my idea, you suck. But one idea I had about substitute teaching is I should start a podcast called The Cleanup Crew. And here's why. Substitute teachers, we're pretty much the cleanup crew. There's no other way to say it. We're the professional babysitters. We're the humans that go into classrooms where the kids look at us and they go, oh, look, fresh meat. I don't really garner much respect as a substitute teacher. I will say that right now. I don't get a lot of it. I mean, it's a difficult job. When they say, oh yeah, substitute teaching is easy, it's not. Especially when you're working in areas where the kids are already depressed for existing and they don't even want to be at school in the first place. So when they realize that their regular teacher, who probably, some of them do care, but the ones that are in classes where it's pretty apparent that the teacher does not care, are, there's a substitute teacher in there only just to remind the students that the teacher really did ditch and, you're kind of on your own. I walk in and I know I'm going to be disrespected as soon as I get there. I know that there are some kids, and I've seen them, that have been like, yeah, you're really cool and we like you. And then of course there's the ones who openly, and defiantly decide to try to turn the classroom into a party, and I refuse to let the person do it. And then, they end up getting disciplined, and then they don't. I have to pull in administration and stuff like that. I think one of my biggest fears going into next week in terms of having to sub in these other places is that I'm not really sure how much support I'm going to get from the administration or any of the disciplinary bodies that are there. Fortunately, like with Hawthorne, as as weird as some of the kids are there, I know what kind of support I'm getting, especially with having been to a couple of those sites and knowing a few of the safety officers there, like I know what kind of support I'm getting, so like I'm okay. But in this case, that's not the case in some of these other places. So I mean, one of the strategies, and I will say this if you're thinking about doing the substitute teaching thing, one of the tricks that I have, and I say this from experience and also because I search for these resources when I can, is if I walk into a new location and I'm talking to the office staff, the first thing I ask them is, what are your disciplinary procedures for students who are deciding to not participate actively in the classroom or deciding to be defiant? And what I would do is just get a few copies of the referral forms or any disciplinary forms that they have that I would have to fill out. And one of the things that I do, and it's something that comes from a little bit of that whole, outward punishment. I don't like to go from a punishment perspective here, but, kids don't listen to any sort of reinforcement at all. So I really, whatever. So like going into these, inner city schools and things, and I ask for the referrals. If I have a student who decides I'm going to take Miss M, and I'm going to disrespect her completely, and I'm not going to listen to her at all, and I'm going to try to make myself the Joker clown of the class. This is where Miss M goes, hey, looky, I have a referral. I'm going to write it in front of you. And not only that, if I have it on a document cam, I'll just write it with the document cam on. Go ahead, make my day. Yeah, that's Clint Eastwood. You don't know who that guy is. But all of you guys know the song Take Me Home Country Roads. And yet none of you know who John Denver is. We have a problem. So that's pretty much how I'm going to be dealing with having to substitute teach in the middle of South Central Los Angeles. This is going to be fun. All I just hope for is that the kids haven't lost enough of their control to jump me. I mean, I know Kung Fu, and I was a hockey player. I still am a hockey player, and no one's going to like a face down. So yeah. Current location right now, I am on the 405 at La Tijera. Just kind of putzing along here. I haven't even gotten to the part of Thursday. Oh gosh, Thursday was strange. I went into this whole tangent about substitute teaching and what you should do if you're in an area that's kind of questionable. But Thursday was interesting. I was given a half day off, and I decided in the morning that I was going to go and clean the rat cages because I wasn't going to have time this weekend. So I go in and clean the rat cages, and I'm checking on the rats and everything like that, and checking on my hairless boys because they're strange. Hairless rats actually have a few extra needs that furry rats don't, especially because they have no hair, which is a pretty obvious way to tell a hairless rat from a not hairless rat. But this is the part where this is no holds barred Friday, and since, I'm just going to enjoy this, I'll just tell the entire graphic story of what I had to do to a rat in regards to an abscess. So I'm checking on all the boys, and just a little kind of background is with these hairless rats, sometimes because of genetics or whatever, they have some particular issues with their private parts, and with the rats, the two of the hairless rats that I have, they have exposed glands, which means that there's a hole right next to their penis where it's supposed to be closed, and it's not. So sometimes if they don't clean the area properly, you may have to express the area because of the buildup of mucus and stuff like that. Now, fortunately, all the rats are really good about cleaning themselves. I do inspect them regularly just to make sure that, their areas are fine and there's no infections or anything like that. But they're actually, for the most part, are pretty good about it. So I'm just doing their normal genital check. Yes, I have to check the balls on all of my hairless rats because, like I said, the male, regular furry rats don't have issues this severe, and this is why I'm a foster. And I noticed that one of my rats just has a really, one of his balls is just really swollen and kind of purple, and I'm going, oh, what's going on here? And I'm looking, and on one of the balls there's this plug of mucus. I'm looking at this this is really weird. Is this a scab? Is this something? I'm thinking this might be infected. Let's take a look. So I give it a little. So as soon as I get the cage outside into the kitchen area, the nook area, so I can clean the cages, I take this guy, and I take him over to the sink, the kitchen sink, and just so that I have a place to work, and so that he doesn't really jump out. I don't want him jumping out or anything like that. So I'm looking at one of his balls, and it's purple. I'm going, this is really weird, mucus plug. Okay, so I give it a little pinch just to see what's going on. Well, he doesn't squeak, so that means he's not hurting. So I'm going, okay, so I continue, and stuff just starts coming out, in the same color as this mucus plug that was sitting there, and it's disgusting. I mean, when I'm saying I am pushing stuff out, I feel like I had half a tube of toothpaste all up in there, and I just kept squeezing, and stuff kept coming out, and he wasn't complaining. He kept moving around because he just didn't like being in the sink. But I just kept squeezing, and all the stuff was coming out. I'm looking for a smell, because if the stuff comes out and it smells, then there's a sign of a really bad infection. But nothing was smelling. It was just coming out, and The consistency of it was like sushi wasabi. Like, when you're at the restaurant, you get the wasabi. It's like that color and that kind of consistency. And I just kept pushing this stuff out of his balls. And just kept doing it, expressing this thing. And I'm thinking in my head, this has to be an abscess. There's no way that this is a gland. Because not only was it not next to the penis, it was like right on his balls. So I'm like looking at this going, this is really not cool. And so I call my friends at at Ventura County Rescue, which, like I said, they were in the process of shutting down. It looks like they're probably just slowing down operations, but they're still active because all of these foster rats are under my care, under the umbrella of Ventura. So I'm still helping them out. So I call, and I get both of the ladies that run the shelter on the phone, and I'm like, hey, what's up with this? I explain the situation about the balls and squeezing out all the stuff, so one of them is like, yeah, we're pretty sure that's an abscess. Were you able to take a picture of it? I said, yeah. So I took a picture, and a couple pictures, and I sent it over, and and he's sitting there like being a total good sport. And the nice thing is because I had to run a little bit of water in the sink, because he's a hairless rat, it's kind of like skin. When you get your skin wet, it eventually dries because, you don't have any hair to stick to it. So, like, there was no issue with, making sure he was dry, because he ended up drying himself anyway. So the remedy for this whole thing, because as I was, pushing all this stuff out, it created a hole. Like, it just coming out of this single hole, because it's an abscess, so it ruptured and it's draining of grossness, right? And so the instructions that I had was, I have syringes on hand, so I took a syringe, and I have betadine. I keep that, as it's a first aid antiseptic. It's kind of like iodine, but it's a little bit safer I can use it on animals. And so I took this betadine and I took a syringe, and once I got everything nice and clean and I got all the crap out, or at least as much of it as I could out of the out of the hole, I had to take the syringe, pull out a bunch of betadine, probably about like half a milliliter of this stuff, take it gently, put it into the hole, and then flush the entire like abscessed hole with betadine. I had to do this a couple times just to make sure that I flushed out whatever, additional gunk that I missed by squeezing, which I really got most of it. I felt like I could have served a sushi dinner with the amount of crap that I pulled out of his balls. And that was lovely. So then after that, the instruction was, and I always keep raw honey on hand. I'm not an organic freak or anything like that, but there's actually a reason for the raw honey in my pantry. Number one, honey doesn't expire. You can have it for a very long time, and indefinitely, to be honest, and you can, it's there. But raw honey naturally is an antiseptic. So if you don't have, and as long as you're not surrounded by ants, because they will bite you, but if you don't have any sort of like alcohol or any sort of like antiseptic on you, raw honey is a natural antiseptic. This is just a fun little thing for you to know. And the reason why I use raw honey, well, first off, because after the betadine washes off, I needed to put another kind of antiseptic. It's safe for rats. Rats can eat honey. And because of that, you don't want to put any creams or anything like that, because what creams will do is that they will heal the outside area, but then it doesn't allow the inside area to heal. And when it comes to an abscess, you need to make sure it drains properly. Otherwise, it can form more pus and get reinfected. So you don't want to do that. So that's another motorcycle. Yeah. So what I did was I took a Q-tip, which was just the right diameter to fit into the abscess hole, and I dipped it in a bit of raw honey, and I just slathered it on. Just made sure that the honey went into the hole and around the area, so that the area stayed clean and was able to heal properly. Now, I've done this. This is the second day of treatment. I started, and the hole's already looking great. It's starting to heal up quickly. That's the thing about hairless rats; they do heal very quickly. And of course, if they get any other like cuts or anything like that, making sure that they're clean and then taking raw honey and putting it on their skin, that is also very helpful in terms of the healing process for them. So it's been good for that. And so far, it's looking great. The ball's no longer swollen. He's still pretty happy. I've been checking on the brothers, and they're just all happy and eating food, and they're all chill. I picked him up this morning to just inspect and also to flush out the hole again with another round of betadine and a Q-tip, finish it off with a Q-tip of raw honey, and then I just put him back, and he was just, on his merry way, and he's probably going to sleep all day. So, I mean, the treatment's been good, and the rat's been a good sport. Fortunately, the hairless rats that I have are extremely sweet. They're really, really nice, and they're very gentle. They know they're going to get picked up, and they're totally cool about it. So, because they were treated when they were still at the rescue. In Ventura, they were being treated for some skin issues that they had, and raw honey and coconut oil was like the go-to for taking care of it. Now, for the longest time when I had hairless rats, I would use olive oil, which is another great alternative. Regardless, coconut oil, olive oil, any sort of oil, like cooking oil, it's natural, so like rats don't get hurt if they end up licking themselves, which is totally fine. And that's pretty much what I ended up doing. I ended up not being able to get to my office until 3 p.m. that day, which was fine because I only needed like 2 hours to do my job. But yeah, that's actually what happened. Was trying to having to treat an abscess in a very, very uncomfortable place on a rat. And like I said, I'm very grateful that the hairless rat that is dealing with this is a good sport. Otherwise, I would have had to deal with way too much squirm, and that wouldn't have been fun. So yeah, that is the extremely detailed and graphic story of how I had to remove a bunch of pus and whatever that was from the scrotum of a hairless male rat, adult male rat. Yeah. It's like, hey, who wants to get into rat fostering now? No, I mean, this is like any animal. I mean, if you're a rat foster, you definitely have to have a level of dedication and love for these animals if you're going to be doing this kind of stuff responsibly. This isn't for everyone. I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, and I enjoy work. I just hope one day that I find work that's fun, that also pays, because it seems like I have to choose one or the other. But yeah, that's what we got, And Thursday, was cool. I mean, I'm also helping the summer camp office with their technology upgrades. So that's what I did at 3 p.m. Not as cool as having to do, rat cleaning. But hey, you get to a point where certain workstations have to be replaced, and the office needs to get out of Windows 7 and move to 10. I know there was a lot of delaying to that because of certain components of the camp database that really rely on Windows 7. So it's kind of we're going to be running some experiments with a new computer that we're picking up. We're going to be beta testing to see if everything will transition over smoothly, and if not, we're going to have to come up with another solution. But with it being off season and we'll have about a year to deal with this, I think it's really good timing that we're deciding to do our R&D at the end of this camp season and looking forward into 2020. Yeah, kind of scary when you think about it, that we're at next year's 2020. It's like we made 20 years of, into the new millennium, and I'm still alive. This is great. Oh yeah, that's great. So yeah, Friday. I'm nearing my destination for once, and just do appreciate the people who have been popping in and just kind of watching all of this. I mean, I know my audiences aren't as big as they used to be. I used to do episodes like this on a regular basis, and what I do is I archive them all to YouTube. I've realized that this year I ended up hitting my 100th episode of doing this. I did a lot of these actually when I was still working at a job that was very depressing, and I would do these broadcasts at lunchtime, and that's actually where all of this started. And nowadays I don't talk about as many depressing things, but just kind of talking about life the way it is. And but yeah, I think this is like episode like 102 of my random video blogs that I do. And it's nice. I don't have time as like I used to be able to do blogs or any sort of journals. So I guess this was kind of the fun way of just saying, hey, this is life. I don't mind sharing it with you, audience out there in the interwebs, because frankly, not too many other people like to listen anyway. So I just gotta throw it out there. Maybe there's an issue that I'm talking about that may strike a chord with you, and you might want to start a conversation. I don't know. What else am I going to be doing while I'm driving and sitting in traffic, averaging about 12 miles an hour? So that's where we are. It's creative. It's something different. I've gotten a little too good at these things. After I get out here in West LA, I'm debating if I want to stay and eat lunch down here in the Sawtell area, or I want to go all the way to Pasadena. Last week I went to IKEA in Burbank. That might be an option. My other option is possibly going over to... Well, IKEA is very cost effective. I'm trying to make it to next Friday. Usually when I arrive at summer camps on Fridays of filming days, like when I'm filming dress rehearsals, I become everyone's favorite person. And the reason why I become everyone's favorite person is because I'm the one who brings the paychecks. But because of this being a 1-week session, we're in the middle of a pay period, so I'm going to suffer, you're going to suffer along with me. And while I'm crawling on my hands and knees to next Friday, so will you. So I have no money for you. I just don't have any money. So, I'm running on fumes, and I'm going to get there. I'm doing as much as possible for it not to cramp my style, and, I didn't shout out yet, but, while all this is going on, I'm also fundraising for the hockey Face Off with Cancer hockey tournament that I am going to be participating in Simi Valley on the weekend of August 24th. And I like to shout out to my cousin for the first donation of the year, and I'm still looking for donations. I don't keep any of this money. This is the one of the few worthy causes that I do fundraise for every year, and I'm hoping that when I get paid that I can throw a little money in there too, because there is a minimum donation that I gotta put in, to go to the tournament, and I am 10% of the way there right now, thanks to the donation from my cousin. So I'll put the link somewhere on here, and really appreciate maybe $1, $5, anything like that. There are incentives if you do choose to donate. All your donations are 100% tax deductible because it is a 501c3. But in addition to that, I will hook you up with really cool stuff. Like, for example, if you donate $75, and this is just wishful thinking, but if you donate $75, I will give you 1 hour of my photography services, and it doesn't matter what the event is. It could be headshots for you. It could be anything. If you donate, I will help you with stuff. $50 donation will get you a computer cleanup by remote desktop, which I always offer that because computer optimization is definitely in the house. And normally Best Buy through Geek Squad usually charges anywhere from $75 to $100 to do that. So think of it as helping a good cause and still getting your computer cleaned. And if you do the $100 donation, and I'm just thinking high money here because, hey, why not? Wishful thinking. You end up throwing $100 my way, I will make sure you get a 1-hour massage with my local massage therapist here in Lomita. And if you're out of state and you decide to throw that, just tell me what massage place you like to go to, and I will make sure that your hour is taken care of. And that's actually, I am not kidding if you decide to do that. So that is that's what's going on with Face Off with Cancer. It's gotten personal, as I like to say, it's gotten a lot more personal this year because having lost in the last year 2 rider friends to cancer and of different sorts. Even though the focus of this tournament is for the families in Southern California who deal with the effects of cancer and the stress that it causes and the financial hardships that it brings, any fight for cancer, any fight for, and that brings out the awareness of just how bad this stuff really is, and knowing, like, I know where the funds go. That's one of the few reasons why this is one of the particular charities that I do actively fundraise for. I will say that it's, you do what you can while you still can, and I think that's one of the reasons why I do everything possible to just not complain about what's going on in my world, because I know that there's, not only is that there are lots of situations that are far less positive than the one I'm in, but at the same time, it's like we all have our battles and we have our reasons why we have to do what we do. Certain things just may not work, but you just got to do your best. And that's really where we are, Anyway, with that being said, I am approaching, and here you go if you would like to see what this looks like right now. But yes, I am approaching the 40510 interchange right now. And I'm just kind of crawling my way, but I'm going to make it 9:51 a.m. for a dress rehearsal that I'm going to sit and film and then take off. And almost there to the first leg of the last day, and everything else that happens after that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed my little whatever you decided, what portion you decided to watch today. And I think that there will be other episodes of random mumblings on the road, but it'll be under a different context. I will not be obviously working for a summer camp, but I might be doing something else that'll be very interesting and cool as well. And I'll have that online eventually, and maybe a little more announcement beforehand. But before I go, and just like wish you guys all a wonderful weekend that's coming up, and to be good and watch your paycheck.